it's Big Lou Barbecue. Now, things I want to do, and what I want to do today is tell you about the ThermoPop 2, all right? Yep, the ThermoPop 2. Now, if you're not familiar with ThermoWorks, I think makes the best thermometers in the industry. I just think they are absolutely fantastic. Now, I see a lot of criticism online for ThermoWorks because they say their thermometers are so expensive, they're in the $100 range. No, they're top of the line thermometers in the $100 range. All right, they came out in the 1990s with the ThermoPen. It's been updated several times. The most recent version is called the ThermoPen 1. And yes, it runs in the $100 range. I've got a red one here with a silicone boot on it, a magnet on it. This thing glows in the dark. I love these thermometers, but they are expensive for the home cook. I have them because I'm an affiliate with ThermoWorks, okay? And I'm glad to have them, but I wasn't always an affiliate with ThermoWorks. ThermoWorks makes some fantastic thermometers for the home cook in a more budget-friendly price, sub $40, sub $30. I don't know how much the ThermoPop 2 is running for. I have not watched any review videos on it before doing this video. All right, but my first digital thermometer, when I started my channel 6 years ago now, almost 6 years ago now, I didn't have digital thermometers. So I said, you need to get a digital thermometer. So I got one, and it was kind of a cheap one, but it worked. But I wanted a better one, and I got a ThermoPop. Yep, by ThermoWorks. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But it had an issue, okay? It didn't work on my induction stove, okay? And so whenever I wanted to check the temperature of something on my induction stove, you know, in the oven it worked, out on the grill it worked, but on my induction stove it would just blank out. I called ThermoWorks, asked them about it, and at this time I was simply a customer, all right? And ThermoWorks said that they had tested the ThermoPop several times on induction stoves, and most of the time it works, but there were a few induction models where the ThermoPop did not work, and evidently I had one. I've got a Kenmore stove, okay? And so I just dealt with it, you know? Per ThermoWorks suggestion is turn the stove off and check the food, or I would oftentimes just take the pan off or the skillet off, set it over there, check it over here on the counter, put the food back on if the steak or whatever I was cooking, pork chops, whatever I was cooking wasn't ready. But I mean, I couldn't use it to fry with because it didn't work on the stove, all right? So last year or so, I found out that ThermoWorks had another thermometer in the same price range as the ThermoPop called the Dash. And the Dash had an auto-rotating display. It didn't rotate all the way around, but it rotated 180 degrees and came in this little, they had two of them. And I said, let me try that. I want to see if it works on the induction stove. And I got a ThermoWorks Dash, and you can see that review right there. By the way, earlier in this video, there was a iCard, and links down below will be to those videos about where the ThermoPop doesn't work on my induction stove, all right? But the Dash, it did work on my induction stove. Sure, so I did a review of that and said, hey, it works on my induction stove. And then about that time, ThermoWorks said, hey, Big Lou, we're introducing a new ThermoPen. Remember I said the ThermoPen was their top of line model since the 90s? And they said, we want to send you one. So ThermoWorks did send me a new ThermoPen, all right? It was this red one right here that I've got a silicone boot on with a magnet, glows in the dark, glows green when I'm outside grilling at night. I really like it. And I've got this one now because ThermoWorks treated me nice, just saying, you know? Well, anyway, they emailed me. They said, hey, we know you got a ThermoPen 1, our top of the line model. We know you've got the Dash, all right? Another good budget model, because ThermoWorks makes great thermometers at whatever price range. And they said, we want you to try our new ThermoPop 2. We want to know if it works on your induction stove, Big Lou, because you did a video showing that they don't work on the induction stoves, and we want you to try this out. We'll send it to you. And they said, well, I'm thinking, well, I don't really need another thermometer. My ThermoPop resides at my dad's house now, but I could give it away to a friend that I know needs a nice thermometer. They said, would you just try it out on your stove? We want to know it works. I said, yes, I will. So I'm letting you know if this works on the stove. First thing we'll do is just check it with boiling water, see how accurate it is, and then we'll cook something on the stove and see if it works. Okay, so here's the new ThermoPop. All right, I have not opened it, and I have not watched anybody else's reviews of the ThermoPop 2 on YouTube. There's several of them because it got introduced a month or so ago. I don't exactly know how long ago it was, but this is what it looks like. I can already see that it's a bigger display than the old one. And if I remember correctly, It feels different. Now the old one had 3 buttons. It had an on-off button and a light button and that was the same button. And it had a button to rotate the display around, and it had a button to change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. This one only has 1 button. All right, it's got this little paper thing on it, so it's not really 86 degrees in here. It is hot in my kitchen right now, but it's not 86 degrees. All right, so that's what it looks like. I take this little sticker off. All right, that looks just like the one for the old one. Ooh, that's a tight fit. Mine had probably worn out or something, but it didn't really fit tight, but that one's a tight fit. It doesn't shake loose. Hold it upside down. All right, you can see I got a updated review of my ThermoPop, and it was kind of loose when I was comparing it to the Dash. This one doesn't shake out. Now, it doesn't have a magnet on it like the Dash does, okay? But you could certainly glue a magnet to it if you really wanted to have a magnet. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Okay, it boots up, looks just like the other one does when it boots up, and it is, you know, close to 85 degrees in here. All right, 85.6 points, all right, 85.3, right? Okay, so it is hot in my kitchen right now. All right, but let's check it out. Look at that. Oh, it rotates again. So 360 degree screen rotation automatically, got resolution up to 1/10 of a degree. Okay, I'm assuming, I need to read the instructions, you saw me unbox it. I'm assuming that you change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit by holding this down. I think you do that with the Dash as well. Anyway, it feels solid, it feels strong. The waterproof rating has been updated. Let's look on here real quick, okay? You can read with me, all right? Auto rotating backlit display, 1/10 of a degree resolution, 2 to 3 seconds read time, NIST traceable certificate. The Dash had a traceable certificate from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the ThermoPen 1 does, but the old ThermoPop did not. This one does, okay? Also, they've increased the accuracy. I believe it's to, let me put on the spectacles, right like that, okay? Accuracy 0.9 degrees. The other one was ±2 of a degree Fahrenheit, okay? So this is sub-degree Fahrenheit accuracy, all right? And that's, let's see. That's in the, you know, cooking range there. That's from 14 degrees to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? Above that, it goes to about 2 point something degrees. You can read that, you know. You can read it right there. All right, let's test it out on the stove. I don't want to make this video much longer than what it already is, and I've been talking 8 minutes about the ThermoPop. All right, well, the coffee kettle, yeah, I call it a coffee kettle because coffee kettle, I make French press coffee with it. If I made tea with it, I'd call it a tea kettle. It's whistling. Let's see where we are. Look at that. Look at that. 212, 213. It's all right. South Louisiana. We're pretty much at sea level. All right. And it's pretty dead on, you know. Hey, and it's working on my induction stove. It's not blacking out. So we're going to try it on a steak over here in this grill pan. And in this video, yeah, it works on my induction stove. I'm pleased. This is a flank steak from Porter Road, in case you're interested. Not sponsored, sent to me by a subscriber. Got a coffee rub on it. All right, let me check this steak. Now look, you have to turn it on and it boots up. If it does that on top of the stove, it does like the old one did. All right, the steak should be about done. 127, 129, 130. That's about where I want it to be. That's a little overdone in that area, but that's okay. I'm pulling off of here, and pleased to say, the new ThermoPop 2 works on my induction stove. Can't tell you how pleased I am to know that the ThermoPop 2 works on my induction stove. They said they did a lot of testing in their labs. They didn't find an induction stove that this does not work on. That doesn't mean it doesn't. But the old one did it. Now I'm gonna leave that video to the old one where I show you that it doesn't work down there just for reference purposes, but it's out of date. I'll be updating the description in it and letting folks know that there's now the ThermoPop 2, and it does indeed work on induction cooking. Hey, thanks for ThermoWorks for sending this to me. I want to thank you for watching. Gracias por verlo.